I'm Pam Heller, AccuQuilt's cutting expert.
And I'm Erica Bodker, AccuQuilt creative expert. And we're here today to say
Aloha. That's right. Forget all the winter blues and freezing cold weather and join us as we bring a little tropical warmth and sunshine to your day.
AccuQuilt is thrilled to announce their newest block on board, or Bob die, the Go Prairie Star. Now this die creates an intricate 14-inch finished block that is the centerpiece of our Go Aloha Stars wall hanging. We love the gradient feature of this pattern, and it's a free download that's available at our website at AccuQuilt.com.
That's right. And Erica, before we show our viewers how to cut and sew one of our sections, let's take a look at our die.
Bob die means that all the shapes you need to complete one block are on that one die board. Now notice how many of shape A we have on this die. This die is going to allow you to create a wide variety of patterns, including the Go Aloha Stars. Now these shapes are non-directional, so you can fold your fabric. Shape A also has specialized dog ears to allow your pieces to go together perfectly.
Perfectly, just like that. All of the shapes have that great 1/4-inch seam allowance built in, and the two-tone foam shows you where to lay your fabric. The shapes are screen printed for easy piecing and organization. Now this particular block is made with 8 Y seams, so we consider this an intermediate level die.
But don't fear Y seams. Pam and I, we've done several videos on how to sew a set-in seam in a snap.
That's right. Shape C is a 1/4 square triangle, so you want to make sure that you treat it like one. You have to make sure that that lengthwise grain is running parallel to that lengthwise blade. Now here's a pro tip, and especially for this particular die, you want to make a test block or at least one of the sections so you know how all the pieces go together.
Absolutely. Now for this block, you'll need 8 gradient colors from off-white to red. Now we've cut most of our pieces for the block, but we want to show you how to cut each color. Right. For this block, you'll need 8 gradient colors from off-white to red. Now, we've already cut most of the pieces for you, but we want to show you how to cut your pieces, okay?
That's right. So now, Erica, when you're looking at this particular pattern, you're actually not going to use all of the shape A's.
Okay.
Okay. So what I've done is I have followed the instructions and pre-cut my fabric a width. I measured from here to here.
Okay.
All right. And then you can always cut 6 layers. So I have 6 layers here.
Perfect.
Remember, this is just 3 of the colors of my 8.
That's right, and that's because it is specifically for this pattern.
That's right. Now shapes B and C, these are the corners where all of those Y seams are going to go.
Right.
So we can just fan fold back and forth. So again, I measured from here to here, added a 1/4 inch on either side, and just rough cut my white fabric. All right, so quilters, you're going to need a 10 by 24 cutting mat to run this die through the cutter. All right, now Erica, the cutting part is the fastest part of this entire block. Now you're gonna need, give it some love, slide that mat, don't lift. Okay, so now look at all these shape A's. Think, Erica, how difficult it would be to cut these pieces by hand.
Well, you know what? Having done some testing on this die, I can tell you it's very difficult because I did have to hand cut it one time, and I wouldn't want to do it again.
That's right. All right, so here we go with our 1/4 square triangles right here.
Perfect.
Okay, now this is really important. And I have a real high-tech way of keeping track of my colors.
Look at that.
I do.
Ziploc and a Sharpie.
Ziploc and a Sharpie. It's really tough, okay? So these are actually, this is color 5.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is just take off those first 2 layers and put them right in here.
To keep track of them.
Keep track of them, because what happens is when you follow the pattern, it's going to tell you how slick is this, the color that it needs, right?
Great.
And each section needs 9 of the colors. So let me show you kind of a cool thing about this block.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Look at that.
Are the gradient colors, right?
Yes.
And then the inside is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if it doesn't look like this, it's wrong.
Okay.
So you want to make sure you lay it out all together, okay? So we're going to just lay out this one little section right here.
Okay, perfect.
So we're going to start with, I need 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Okay, so what you want to do, quilters, is that when you sew this together, you want to sew these 2 pieces together and those 2 pieces. And you're going to notice that they're going to fit together perfectly.
Because of the dog ears.
Because we've cut off the dog ears, right?
Okay.
All right, so I am just going to do this, and then I'm going to hand you, after we're done, if you would press our seams open.
I will be your presser.
All right, so I'm just going to chain piece this here.
Okay.
Okay, so see?
So now you're going to put those rows together.
We are. And if I were you, I would pin them, but I'm not going to.
Well, there you go. But she's got those specialized dog ears that are going to come in really handy.
That is exactly why. You don't really need to pin it.
That's great.
So see how that's going to fit in right here?
Okay.
Just like that. So the next thing we want to do then is to sew these 2 pieces together. Now, Erica, we know all about Y seams.
We sure do. And the whole secret is to marking that 1/4 inch point and stopping sewing a 1/4 inch from the end.
Yep.
That's going to give you your seam allowance to set in the next point, which is how we make that Y seam.
And I'm going to tell you, quilters, don't eyeball it.
No, take the time, take the couple of seconds, mark it. I like to mark both sides with an intersect and have an intersection mark. It just makes all the difference. It really does.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to mark it right here because that's where I want to stop.
Yep.
Right, and we sell these markers on our website.
Yes, and we have a fine tip and a wide tip on the website. I like the fine tip for marking.
I do as well.
And this is a water-soluble marker.
It is. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that my pieces are lined up. My seams are open, so it's going to be really easy to make sure that they're lined up.
Super.
Now, when I get here to this 1/4 inch seam, or that 1/4 inch mark, I'm going to back stitch about 2 stitches.
Yes.
Okay.
Because otherwise the stitching is going to come undone when you're putting that inset seam in, and then it's not going to look right and you're going to be sad.
Right, so there's that little...
There's our 1/4 inch.
All right, Erica, so this one, because it's on the corner, it's going to use this
one of the squares.
So do you want to show them how to mark the corners for the squares?
All right, and like I said, I like to do that 1/4 inch on either side.
Yes.
So that I have a little bit of an X, if you will.
Yes.
And that intersection point.
Yes.
And it's that easy.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay. So now, Erica, do you pin yours? I don't pin mine.
You know,
I feel like this is pretty easy.
This is really pretty easy, but you certainly can put a pin down there, especially if you're a little bit more of a novice with your inset seams. You might want to do that.
But I'm going to tell you, if you just practice, you'll be great.
And the dog-eared corners are really going to help you because you're going to line those up on the outside. But again, your key is to marking that 1/4 inch spot and sticking to it and doing some back stitching every time.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to stop and do a little back stitch. There we go.
That's a key.
Yep. And then, Erica, we're just going to turn it, right?
And pull all that seam allowance out of the way.
All of it out of the way. You don't want to go over any of it. Okay. So it's going to come right here, and then I'm just going to stitch down the other side.
Perfect.
And then look at this. So I'm going to tell you, Erica, that sometimes when I press my seams, this one is pressed open, and then I find that I can press towards this edge.
Right.
And this edge. Do you kind of do yours
I
differently?
No, that's pretty much how I do mine. There are several different ways that you can.
Right.
It's kind of up to you with what feels comfortable, and sometimes your quilt will tell you too.
Yeah. And I would always give it a really good press so that it all stays together.
Yes.
All right, so you're gonna need a total of 8 sections. So 2, 4, 6, 8,
okay,
right?
All right.
Sewn together, you're gonna put squares in the corners, and then these triangles are gonna fit here in the sides. And we're gonna use the exact same process
Again,
to create the blocks.
Mark that 1/4 inch seam allowance, it'll work just the same way.
Now quilters, if you don't like this colorway, you can totally change it by using Go Quilt. It's a free quilting tool available at AccuQuilt.com that allows you to change the colorway of thousands of Go patterns. There's even a short tutorial to help you get started.
So follow the pattern to sew those blocks together, and you'll add an inner border. Now when you're all done, give the top a good press. Go ahead and add batting between the top and the backing, pin or baste it, and quilt as desired. Go ahead and bind using your favorite method. And don't forget to miter those corners.
And be sure and share your finished projects with us on our social media pages. We would love to see what you've made with the new Go Prairie Star die. And remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time.
So you can quilt more.